Welcome to the Roundtable. I'm Brad Wakai. That is my co-host Tyson Gentry. We've been promising it. We've been waiting for it. It is our Super Bowl breakdown today, Best Bets edition. We gave you a little appetizer earlier in the week, just discussing some of the game props, some of the fun team props, anything along those lines, maybe some more of the exotic ones. But now we're to the nitty gritty, Tyson. We're looking at player props itself, receptions, yards, all that good stuff. And then at the end, people, we are giving out our best bets and our number one overall pick, play of the week for this game. I'm starting to get nervous, man. I know you said it hasn't started to hit yet, but what are you feeling right now? Tell the people.
It's as the days go on, I just feel like they get longer. I was laying in bed last night and I was like, okay, I only have to go to bed 5 more times until the Super Bowl is here and they hit it. And honestly, since the last spot, all I've been thinking about is what songs Rihanna's going to play first.
So I heard something. Now here's an interesting one. Shine bright like a diamond. Like I don't know the odds on that, but it feels like that's the favorite, right?
Yeah, maybe. Or she just goes full Rihanna and just comes down with like the Chains and Whips Excite Me song, just a real middle finger to Roger Goodell.
Yeah, let's see. I wonder if I'll try to pull up some odds, see if there's anything on that. But let's jump into the analysis first here, Tyson. A little football breakdown. People may have already been footballed out just because we've had the 2-week layoff here. But let's give some of our analysis here just so people know what we're coming at, what we're looking for in the game before we get into all the props discussion and giving our pick at the end here. Let's start from whatever angle you want to take it. Let's break this game down, whether it's the Chiefs side or the Eagles side. Just take it from there.
I'm just going to be really simple because I think people have been beat over the head with statistics over the last 2 weeks. That's always the best part when we get up to big games and we have a layoff is people just start repeating things one after the other, and then everything's saturated, oversaturated with these stats. Eagles defensive line, really good. Patrick Mahomes, really good at avoiding sacks. That's the game. That like the Eagles offensive line is going to win against the Chiefs defensive line. Pat Mahomes is going to find a way to beat Jonathan Gannon running zone. It's going to be a classic Gannon game. They're going to dare the Chiefs to run the football. They're going to say, if you want 6 yards of carry, you can have that, but you have to go 75 yards against us every time and score a touchdown. Not the way I would truly want to play them because the Chiefs are so much better in the red zone this year. But it's going to be screens from Andy Reid. It's going to be little pop passes as Kadarius Toney or Sky Moore or whoever goes in motion, a lot of handoffs, things like that. And the Chiefs are just going to be like, look, everyone's talking about the Eagles' defensive line as if Andy Reid wasn't the head coach the last time the Chiefs got dog walked in the Super Bowl by a defensive unit. Like, he knows. He's prepared.
They revamped this offensive line for these moments, right? Like they vowed they would never get embarrassed like that by a defensive front again after Tampa just destroyed them. And we will see if they can live up to that pressure, if they can live up to this billing. Because, listen, they've given up the second fewest sacks in the NFL. Is that because of the offensive line, or is that because Patrick Mahomes gets the ball out of his hands so fast and he's a magician? Because I think you can't really say at the same side of your face, oh, Mahomes just does all this magician stuff. He pirouettes around. He's running around off platform. Be like, this offensive line's great. It's like you can't have it both ways. You can't have the guys doing crazy stuff, escaping the pocket, throwing off platform on the move, and be like, but this offensive line's really good. Like, I don't really think that correlates. Whereas, go ahead.
Well, the other funny thing is when people talk about their pass set win rate, and it's like, yeah, it's because they throw the ball more than everybody else besides the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the NFL. It's like they have more opportunities to win their reps.
Right. It's like they throw the ball second most out of anybody. Like their percentage of pressure is probably going to be lower just due to that fact. But that's going to be the biggest thing, right? The trenches. We've talked about this before, Tyson. Like that's what we're going to be paying attention to. Can the Eagles offensive line win that battle against the Chiefs defensive line, who's played much better in the playoffs and much better down the stretch? Then obviously the big storyline are the Eagles going to be able to put enough pressure on Mahomes to get him off his spot and to get him off platform where he's not running these scripted plays that Andy Reid's drawing up and that offensive staff has envisioned for the game. So first and foremost, that's what I'm paying attention to.
And it's the cliche and it's classic, but this is what we've been saying all year. This Eagles offensive line is the best that we've seen. The Eagles defensive line is the most sacks since the '85 Bears. Like, this is how they build their team. If you were to pick what positions from the Chiefs. You and I did this after an episode the other day, just kind of as a brainstorming exercise. Like, who on the Chiefs would start for the Eagles? It's Mahomes, Kelsey, and then we decided on Tommy Townsend. And then you're kind of splitting hairs. Like, Chris Jones would start over Fletcher Cox. But the Eagles' defensive line as a whole is better. The problem is, if you're an Eagles fan, and I'm wearing the hat right now, is the positions they have the advantage. Like, having Patrick Mahomes is a ridiculous. Jalen Hurts has been awesome. Number 2 in MVP voting. Basically ripped to shreds every argument people had against him at the beginning of this year. And there is a gulf between the two of them when it comes to playing quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Can the most important position in sports beat the most well-constructed roster in the league? Because I think when you analyze it at this point, we all said, man, the 49ers have a really good roster. And the Eagles shredded that roster apart. Like, they took apart that roster piece by piece and at drive by drive. And of course, I don't want to hear people coming at me, well, the quarterback got hurt. Yeah, because they fucking shredded up that offensive line. Like, that's the way it goes. They couldn't block that front four.
Well, Christian said that the NFL needs to change the rule, Christian McCaffrey, to allow teams to carry a third quarterback, which is allowed. It's just not what they chose to do.
Right, because you have a certain amount of roster spots. Like, I think,
like,
you used to have like the third quarterback wouldn't be a roster spot. Like, it wouldn't count against you. Like, sure, I think you should look into that. You're sitting at home watching the Super Bowl. Like, enough is enough from the 49ers.
It's too much. It's too much.
I expect the Eagles to run the football, try to ground and pound. We're going to see how healthy Jalen Hurts' shoulder really is. Now, that's been the topic of discussion, and I think it's kind of funny to me that we don't know how healthy Hurts' shoulder is, so people assume the worst because he didn't throw the ball very well in windy and rainy conditions in Philadelphia against a really good defense, actually the best in the league in the 49ers. So we're assuming he's banged up or that he can't throw the ball this week. But when we know that an ankle injury that Mahomes has doesn't recover for 4 weeks, and that's when you don't play on it, and he just played on it last week, we're like, his ankle will be fine. Like, that's what's funny to me. So we're already assuming the worst in Hurts and giving Mahomes the benefit of the doubt that he has played exceptional on that ankle. But I just think that's something funny to me.
The other thing with Jalen's shoulder that is going to be a pretty big deal, I think, honestly, the Eagles love throwing down the sidelines. Like, they want to throw the ball. If they're going to take a shot, and they will, and they'll take one early, it's probably going to be down the left sideline. And that is normally Devontae Smith. And the Chiefs struggle a ton against number 1 wide receivers, and everyone in the world right now is like, that's A.J. Brown. They're really close in targets, catches, and yards over the last month and a half of games that they've played together. And the Chiefs are more susceptible on that left side. That's the side Jalen favors. That's the side Devontae Smith is going to be on. I know everybody thinks that it's going to be an A.J. Brown game, and I would fucking love it if he were to come out and put up 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's going to get the ball because he's one of their best players, and you get your best player the balls in these games. I just personally think that if the Eagles are going to hit shots, it's going to be Devontae Smith that is on the receiving end of those kind of aggressive plays from Philadelphia.
Is this a Quez Watkins game? Can he get behind that defense, Tyson?
That's year 3. Actually, I just had to check my watch. That's year 3 of us waiting for the Quez Watkins game. Look, man, I hope it is, and it's enticing when you look at the numbers, and he's at 12.5 over under for yards, and it's at plus 100, and it's like, that's wide out 3. That's who you want. But then when you watch the film and count the snaps, and Zach Pascal's actually been out playing him in the playoffs, I don't really want a part of Quez.
Okay, we're going to get into the prop discussion, and what better way to circle back to Rihanna's first song. Now, these are odds. This is on sportingnews.com. Odds to be the first song that Rihanna has or will perform at halftime. Diamonds is the favorite, plus 220. Don't Stop the Music, plus 245. That's not bad. I can see her coming out to that. Like, please don't stop the music. Well, that'd be good.
How'd that go?
We Found Love, plus 350. I don't know if I know that one. Lift Me Up, plus 430. Believe It, plus 455. Where Have You Been, plus 505. Umbrella plus 645, then Work plus 800. Now, I don't think Work and Umbrella are ever going to be played first. Like those are middle or showstoppers. Like those are the bangers you play in the middle or the end.
That's our whole catalog, man. All she's got is number one hits. And honestly, if you're betting on these, you either better be doing pretty well for yourself financially, or seeking therapy on Monday.
Or you follow the line movement because somebody knows something. If there's a line movement, somebody's sharing info. Oh, man. All right, so let's get into the props then, Tyson. We got a ton of – if you're watching us on YouTube, you can follow along because we are live streaming from FanDuel Sportsbook, or live streaming the website. We wish we were in the Sportsbook right now because we go to the counter and place these live. So check us out on YouTube if you want to follow us along there. But we are going to start in the passing department. Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes. Now, Jalen Hurts number – 238.5, Patrick Mahomes 292.5. There's obviously question marks about Hurts' shoulder. I think you have to really look at the game script when you're discussing this. Do we think the Chiefs will be playing from behind? If so, Mahomes is going to be throwing. If the Eagles are up, that's clearly going to limit the amount of opportunities that Jalen Hurts will have. But if the Eagles are behind, they're going to have to throw the ball. Does this market interest you at all?
This is the tough part here of where these numbers are set at is all four outcomes, over under for both guys. You can easily see hitting in a win, or if they lose. Like 292.5 yards is still, if Pat Mahomes came out and threw for 320 yards, nobody would be shocked, but you'd be like, holy shit. Like he just threw 320. And if he goes 290, you're still going to say, wow, Pat Mahomes had a good game. Jalen Hurts can go for 300 plus yards. We've seen him do that. The Eagles can also beat you by 30 when he throws for 110. Like, so to me, these are tough. If I had to lean one way, I think that Pat Mahomes over 292.5 is actually the one that I would play here. I personally think, and I said it last show, I think Philadelphia is going to go down and score the first time they have the ball, and the Chiefs aren't really going to be able to rely on the run game if that's the way you want to look at it. But as I said, a lot of these are going to be pop passes. They're going to be quick screens. The Eagles really struggle to cover running backs out of the backfield. And Patrick Mahomes has become a master at observing when that's happening and just taking your 6 yards. And so Isaiah Pacheco and Jerick McKinnon, we'll get into them. But I think of those 292, maybe 140 of them aren't sexy, but they're going to count.
I'm not touching this market. It feels like this could be a Mahomes game, like you said, over 300. But, if he's getting sacked, if he's off his spot, if they need to do something to not have those pass rushers pin their ears back and they do start running the ball, I think it limits the opportunities that Mahomes will have to go over this number. And the Hurts thing, too much unknown for me to get involved in that. I think if I had to lean, I would do the under. But if it's somehow, some way the Eagles get behind, I actually think this could be a good opportunity where he shows that he can throw the ball and the Eagles design something against this rookie secondary that they can exploit. Passing touchdowns market, Hurts over 1.5 at -110, the under juice -120, and then just a ridiculous number of Mahomes. Over 1.5 is -205, under +152. Mahomes, they're pretty much saying he's going to have 2 touchdowns, passes at least. A little bit too much juice for me there, but what do you think about this, Tyson?
I'm in agreement with you. That's just a little bit too much. I think if you're going to run like a same game parlay, this might be something you throw on, but like at -205, that's got to be a bigger value bet. And I don't really know if that's one that I want to sit here sweating. If we get halfway through the third quarter and it doesn't look, it's a repeat, right? We've seen the movie before. We knew what happened against Tampa Bay, and then you're just sitting there like, shit. If this is your solo play, I think there's probably better ones on the board.
Yeah, absolutely. So nothing in the passing market for either Tyson or I. We're going to move on to the receiving props. So here we go. Let's start at the top of the board, work our way down. Dallas Goedert over 49.5 is the number. Can we picture him getting this number?
Yeah, I think he's going to catch a screen because he always catches a screen. They'll throw a third down screen to Dallas Goedert at some point. It's going to come down to yards after the catch. I don't know if his average depth of target's going to be enough to clear this 50-yard number. So it's going to come down to him running after the catch, and he's a great bet to do that. It's just that's not the way that I like to play my receiving prop markets.
I'm curious to know how much he's going to be involved. If he's going to catch a screen, you're right, and he could rip off some big ones. But like you said, they like to tack on the edges, and I think the Chiefs are vulnerable there. They do have pretty good cover wide receivers, or I'm sorry, cover linebackers. Does that impact Dallas Goedert? I don't know if it truly does. I think he's one of the elite tight ends in this league, and he's really hard to cover. I'm going to stay away from Goddard myself. Devontae Smith, 63.5. Now, it seems like you like this one, Tyson.
Yeah, this has got to be an over for me.
Okay.
To me, this is, and I said it, he's going to draw an easier matchup than A.J. Brown because the way the Philadelphia Eagles play, your linebackers essentially always have to be coming downhill. Your safeties always have to be ready to come down, and that's the power of the RPO. And another little aside here that I thought was funny while I was thinking about this is like the Eagles are running like a weird variation. It's not the same thing, but like how spread out they play. It's like the early edition of the Chiefs. They just do it. They attack you in a different way, but they spread everybody out, where the Chiefs now are kind of compacted the field since Tyreek Hill left. So that's just kind of funny watching the Chiefs play against like a weird version of the offense they spawned. Devontae Smith is hitting this number, and I think Devontae Smith is hitting this number in the third quarter.
All right, I'm riding with you there. Love Devontae Smith. He's a big game player. We discussed this last time. When the lights are brightest, he does not shy away from it. He is a nightmare to cover, and that's for any cornerback in this league. And if you have questions about it, he'll show you. And I think he shreds up this young secondary. There's going to be a lot of one-on-one matchups, I believe, especially with Spagnuolo and what he likes to design up front. I think that leaves his secondary vulnerable. I like the over as well. Now, A.J. Brown's number 72.5. I don't want to bet the under here because he could pop one off any time, but I'm staying away from Brown in the receiving yards market.
Yeah, me as well. He could go 6 for 70 with a touchdown. He could go 4 for 40. He could go 10 for 130. Like it's too many variables, too many different outcomes possible for me to be comfortable with.
Okay, Travis Kelce, 79.5. Now, some people may be thinking that's low. I think you and I may subscribe to that idea, especially considering that the Eagles don't have a very good cover linebacking core. We know what Mahomes and Kelce can do. Kelce, people are acting like Kelce shredded up the Bengals. He went under his number. Like I don't know if people realize that or not. He went under his expected number against the Bengals. I think it was only by 1 yard, but still, he went under the number. Are you playing his yards in this one?
Yeah, I'm going to take the over on Travis Kelce. The Eagles are going to try to limit what the Chiefs do after the catch. They're going to try to slow the game down. Like we're going to hit you every time you catch a ball, and they're not the best tackling team around. But Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelce have adopted, you know what, fuck it. I'll take 6. I'll take 7. And so I think if you're going to play Travis Kelce over on yards, you might as well start playing with the catches too.
Okay. I'm going to take McKinnon over 22.5. That is one of my favorite bets. He didn't get a lot of run last week. It was more of a Pacheco out of the backfield situation, which is why I think they utilize McKinnon. I think they trust him a little bit more, although Pacheco clearly is the number one back in this offense now. But I think they use Jerick McKinnon a little bit out of the slot position as well. Like he has really good hands. We know Mecole Hardman's out. We need a burner to kind of replace him. Would not be surprised if Jerick McKinnon is utilized as a receiver and he goes over this number. So I'm going to take over 22.5 for McKinnon.
And I feel like you have to if you're going to play Jerick McKinnon, just because this could be a one screen. Like this could be his first catch of the game, could go for 23, and you're doing fine. He's going to get more than one catch. He's going to be involved in the game plan. They're going to try to spread Philadelphia out and make them uncomfortable. And Jerick McKinnon is uniquely equipped to do that.
Okay, some quick hitters here. Miles Sanders, number 4.5. Pacheco, 16.5. Gainwell, 11.5. And then Quez Watkins, 12.5. As we mentioned earlier, juiced minus 122 under. Anything that piques your interest here, over or under on any of these players?
I am not interested in any of these as far as this number, but if you're going to go combined receiving and rushing yards, I think Kenneth Gainwell at 34.5, I think is what it is right now, is a pretty good bet. I don't know if he'll hit the 12 necessary on receiving, but I think he'll go over on rushing, and I'm more comfortable playing that as combined.
Okay. Here's a couple more here. Now we got Juju Smith-Schuster, question mark, health related, 38.5. MVS, 37.5. He had a huge game against the Bengals. Can he duplicate that? Because that's always the question. And then Kadarius Toney coming off injury as well, over 26.5. So here's the question marks if you're the Chiefs, because we know Travis Kelce is going to get his. It's who else is going to step up in this offense. These are your three guys. Anybody that you're interested in playing over under with Smith-Schuster, MVS, or Tony?
I like MVS here. He's got to be the guy to step in. Tony is injured. Tony is actually, he presents some pretty funky things for the Eagles to have to deal with. He doesn't move like normal. Have you noticed this? Like the way he moves after the catch is like, he's like a cat.
He's got wiggle, man.
It's crazy though, and it's funky the way his body works. But I think MVS could run by James Bradbury. I think that's a really realistic thing that could happen. And then right there, we're pretty close to our number. I don't want Juju dealing with the injury. I don't want him, if he's healthy, anyways. And then with Tony being banged up, I'm gonna pick Marquez Valdes-Scantling as the guy to take that kind of second receiver role for Kansas City.
I'm with you there. Like MVS, I liked him last week. He was 22.5 and it was plus 100. Good line, guys. That was ridiculous. Okay, reception market. Now this is what I love here. I love targeting receptions, and this is my favorite bet. AJ Brown's going to catch the ball more than 5.5 times, 6+ for sure. Here's why I say that. I've mentioned this a couple times, but Spagnuolo likes to blitz. What's going to be a great way for Jalen Hurts to settle into this thing and get comfortable? Slant routes. A.J. Brown is one of the best slant route runners in the NFL, especially when he can go to the house at any given time he touches the ball. They need to get him involved. And I don't necessarily want to say, oh, he's a pout or anything, like a Terrell Owens when he doesn't get the ball. He's frustrated, man. He's one of the best receivers in the NFL. I'd be pretty upset, too, if I didn't have the ball in my hand and thinking I couldn't or I wasn't impacting the game as much as I think I should be. They're going to get him the ball. Nick Sirianni does this, right? Like, we've seen this as Eagles fans, Tyson. Like, Devontae Smith had 3 catches in 2 games. We were like, we're betting the over next game. He had 8.
Like, the over hit in the first quarter.
He knows how to do this shit. And A.J. Brown is going to be catching more than 6 balls in this one. Book that down. A.J. Brown over for plus money on receptions. And
a little nugget there. The Chiefs are the worst team in the NFL against opposing teams' number 1 wide receivers. That's pretty important when it comes down to an all-pro guy like A.J. Brown.
Yes, it does. You said you looked at Kelce. What do you think here? 7.5. It's a big number.
It's huge. It's massive. They're going to feed him the ball. I think 7.5 is a number that I'm comfortable taking. I don't even know if I'd be scared off at 8.5. And it might sound unrealistic, and he's probably going to finish the game now with 5 for 60, and I'll look stupid. But he has to get the ball. Like, this is the same guy that got 14 catches just a few weeks ago because they had to feed him the ball to get the offense rolling. He's the engine. This is how their offense works.
Goddard over 4.5. I'm staying away from there, from that number. Tyson, are you interested in that?
No.
Devontae Smith, 5.5 at plus 102. Now we think he's going to have a big game yardage wise, but that doesn't always necessarily translate to receptions because he can go by people and catch the ball for a big chunk. Are you going to be playing this receptions market?
No, because I'm going to play the A.J. Brown one, and I don't really want to split my, it's too much, too leveraged as far as that situation goes.
Completely agree with you there. Okay, let's do some quick hitters here on some auxiliary players.
Look at that under on Quez.
Quez Watkins, 1.5 is number, plus 136 for the over, under minus 182. McKinnon, who I like his yardage over, his reception number is 3.5 at plus 134. Under is minus 180. Gainwell over 1.5 is minus 136. Under plus 102. Miles Sanders over 1.5 plus 162. Under minus 220. Wow, there's some big numbers here. Either side, you got to lay some juice or you get a bunch of juice back. Anything interest you here?
I like Marquez Valdes-Scantling over 2.5. I think that one to me is he's going to be the guy on the outside that's going to catch the audible into a bubble screen, and he's going to get one of those. He's going to get a pop pass, and they're probably going to try to get him open deep.
Yep, and we like his yards over as well. Now, Smith-Schuster, I think at 3.5, that's way too many for me. Now, he could hit that, but I'm not willing to lay that. Minus 118, it's nothing crazy, but I'm not getting involved. And if he does do it, hey, I'll tip my cap to him.
Yeah, you have to. And Pacheco over 1.5 is a bet, again, that I think if you want to play, throw it on the same game part. Although you can't with catches, huh?
They can now. They
Oh,
added it for the
they're
Super
in
Bowl. How
there.
about that? How
Okay.
about that?
Then yes, that's a parlay play.
Shout out FanDuel. That's awesome. Okay, let's check this out real quick. Player longest reception. Now, if there's anything, we'll run through these quick. If you're following with us along on YouTube, you can see the menu. Um, I think honestly, if you're interested, Tyson, if I can interest you in one freaking bomb, Quez Watkins over 8.5. Does that do anything for you?
No, because that bomb's going to Devontae Smith, and that 25.5. What is his number?
Oh, now I'm frozen here. Let's see. Let's not understand what I want. It is 23 and a
23 and a
half.
half. Yeah, I'm taking Smitty.
Taking Smitty over 23 and a half. Okay. Other than that, I mean, Valdez Scantling, we like his ability to stretch the field 19 and
Zach
a half. I
Pascal
don't think
doesn't
we're going
get
to play
any
it.
love on these things, man.
Of course not. Of course not. I wish he had those receptions. I'd probably take the over. That's probably that. You know what? Devontae Smith, that's probably the only thing I could be interested in on this one over 23 and a half. Goddard over 20 and a half. That may be something. I just don't like it at minus 122. So this market, I am done. So that does it for receiving props. Rushing props. Let's get into that because this is where I think we can find some stuff here, Tyson. Jalen Hurts, 49 and a half. How much do they want to run him? We'll see. I mean, are you thinking they're going to run him and go balls to the walls here? Take the over? You take the under? What do you like?
I'm going to take the over on Jalen Hurts rushing yards, and
Okay.
it might not be for the fact that the Eagles are going to do a lot of quarterback design runs because they will, and that's typical. The Chiefs really struggle containing mobile quarterbacks. That's something the stats prove that, and the eye test proves that. And on top of it, last week the 49ers defense is really intimidating and scary. Jalen was bailing out of pockets a little bit earlier, 2 weeks ago, excuse me, compared to what we've seen earlier this year, where he kind of comes out in games like that and just says, "Fuck you, I can throw the football." And he was getting out of that pocket, and that's a worrying thing as an Eagles fan. Is in big games, if you go back to Alabama, Oklahoma, Jalen Hurts wants to make a play so bad that he's out of that pocket a little bit too early. But for a betting perspective, that gives him more opportunity to run against a group that struggles to tackle people like him.
I'm going to stay away from it. You know, I love Jalen Hurts. I think to be successful in this game, they're going to have to rely on running backs, and they're going to have to rely on Hurts' arm and getting the receivers involved. So that's why, honestly, my prop of the week, Miles Sanders over 61 and a half. And everybody's pointing to Gainwell. I would caution people on the Gainwell thing. And I think 19 and a half is an interesting number. It's just enough to catch the eye. I bet Gainwell last week, thought it would go over the number because it was crazy low last week. This is the Miles Sanders week, ladies and gentlemen. They basically load managed him in the fourth quarter against the Niners. He didn't touch the ball one time. They ain't doing that in this one. Let me tell you that. He can shred this defense up. This ain't Joe Mixon coming out of the backfield, slow as hell. This is Miles Sanders. He's figured out how to run in this league. He's figured out how to be explosive. And I think, honestly, what the Eagles are going to do after they establish the run early and they get the pass going, that's going to be when Miles Sanders puts the nail in the coffin. Over 61 and a half, my prop of the week.
I'm in total agreement. I think that's the best play on the board.
Now, two Chiefs running backs. McKinnon, 21 and a half. Pacheco, 46 and a half. It's interesting because if the Chiefs go up early, you think they're going to run the football. They don't really do that. Andy continues to throw it. He trusts Mahomes more than anybody else in that offense with good reason. And if they're behind, obviously they're not going to run it. But on the flip side, people say, how do you beat the Eagles? Where are they vulnerable? Oh, it's the running attack, which we've pushed back on a little bit, Tyson. Maybe the numbers don't necessarily suggest that, which we've, I think, disproven a little bit in our own terms in a couple earlier podcasts. But regardless, that's the narrative. Do you think you want to play any of the Chiefs running backs here?
No, and one of them's going to hit. That's pretty obvious. I don't want to be wrong on who Andy Reid's going to use to run the football. And then B, when the Chiefs come out in 12 and 13 personnel, they're throwing the ball. Like that's how it works. And why wouldn't you? If you look at their numbers when they run out of 13 personnel, it's like it makes the 07 Patriots offense look like doo-doo. Like it's perfect when they come out like that, and they throw it like 60% of the time from those formations. So even when you're in running situations and you're if Isaiah Pacheco is at 43 late in the game and they come out in 13 personnel. That's a sprint out to Travis Kelce. That you're not hitting your prop there, and I don't want to be a part of that.
I am not getting involved either. Now, did I convince you enough on Kenny Gainwell to not touch his over-under and rushing?
I'm still on the receiving plus rushing for Kenny.
Okay, let's pull that up right now for you then. Let's get that in here. 32.5. So that's
Yes.
your number, 32.5 there. Now, here's what I'm intrigued by. Mahomes, 19.5 is his number. We know the ankle situation. We know that defensive line. It's juiced to the under, minus 118, the over minus 104. I don't know if I can bet against Mahomes in a big game like this. What about you?
19.5 is too high for me because this is priced as if he's going to be dealing with the ankle injury, but not quite the same level. They're going to flush him out of the pocket, but Pat Mahomes outside the pocket is not Jalen Hurts outside the pocket is not. He's unlike anybody else, and he's tiptoeing the line of scrimmage. He's doing pirouettes in the backfield, like spinning around just to find somebody open. He's extending the play to make something happen. He will take off in the game. And I think one of the props on here, I don't know where it went, but it was like Mahomes' first rush over 3.5 yards. To me, I think that is safe if you want to play a Patty rush because they don't quarterback sneak Pat Mahomes.
First rush. Here we go. It's not on.
It's not on the board anymore. It was 3.5 earlier in the day, but regardless, I think that would be one I'm more comfortable playing, and I'm sure they'll get that thrown back up here before kick.
I'm sure. Okay, so that's going to do it for rushing props. Unless let's see, what's longest rush? Do we want to look at that? Oh yeah, longest rush. Let's see what we got here. Miles.
Boston's got his own tab.
Yeah, he's got his own tab. Miles 14.5, Hurts 13.5, Jerick McKinnon 8.5, Pacheco 13.5, Gainwell 8.5, Mahomes 10.5. Holy smokes, that's the longest rush. Mahomes 10.5. That's what in the world?
I know it doesn't make any sense.
No, I got to think about that one. Now, these are juiced a little bit heavier. Book's trying to save a little bit of money on this juice just because it's pretty volatile. But is there anything you want to get involved on the longest rush in the Super Bowl?
I like Hurts over 13.5. There's just going to be open middle of the field. There's going to be times when guys have their back turned, and he's just going to go. And he's going to make play, and he's going to leave everything out on the field. We're not seeing slides from Jalen Hurts this week. I think we're seeing Jalen Hurts just say, and the announcers will tell you, he squatted over 600 pounds. In was it high school that he did that, or was that college?
I think it was high school, wasn't it?
They just talk so much about his powerlifting days. It's hard to keep track. But, yeah, at 13.5, I could see him popping a 15, 16-yard run, getting out of bounds late in the second quarter, going down to score at the end of the half.
Okay, that's going to wrap it up for rushing props for us. Now, let's get into the defensive props. Now, this is the tackle market, and if you haven't played these before, these are interesting.
These are your money makers.
Yeah, the defensive lines normally priced in plus money, same with secondary for obvious reasons. We won't go through everybody here. Let's just see if there's anybody that pops out to you, Tyson, that you want to discuss first and foremost.
Well, I think Fletcher Cox at 2.5, over 2.5 at plus 134. To me, that's just kind of a nostalgia play. As an Eagles fan, this is a guy that time and time again throughout his career has shown up in these big moments. And honestly, he's going to get 4 half tackles because nobody in the NFL is better at jumping on a pile after it's pretty much been cleaned up than Fletcher Cox.
My favorite one on the board here, CJ Gardner-Johnson over 5.5. He can tackle people in the secondary. He also can come down and tackle anybody coming out of the backfield. I think he's going to need to do that from his safety spot, from his slot spot. So I like CJ Gardner-Johnson over 5.5. Anything else you like here, Tyson, or you want to move on to sacks?
I think let's get to sacks. That's what the people are here for.
Absolutely. So the man that everybody's discussing, Hassan Reddick to record a sack here on FanDuel, minus 154 for yes, no, plus 122.
He's right now, there isn't a hotter edge rusher in the National Football League. They're going to do everything in their power to keep Hassan Reddick off of Pat Mahomes. And this might be one, and is this even a part of the live bet market over here in Montana? We don't get that. But this is something that I want to see how the game is played at the start in order to even consider this. He's on fire, and he can beat anybody one-on-one. And I'll talk a little bit about Orlando Brown here in a second, but at minus 154, like I got to see how this thing plays out.
That's a little bit too much for a sack for me, especially when it's a guy that everybody's going to be keying on. Everybody knows this guy's a game record. Look what he did against San Francisco. We can't let him do that to us. I'm passing on Hassan Reddick's sack, and I'm going to look at the live market. Javon Hargrave, defensive tackle, plus 168 for yes, minus 220. I'm staying away from him.
Yeah, me too. And Hargrave has been the second best. And if you look at numbers and you look at pressure rate versus snaps played and sacks versus snaps played, he's the best interior rusher in this game. But let's not kid ourselves. It's Chris Jones. Hargrave's awesome. It's just Creed Humphrey and the two guards in Kansas City they're one of the best interior lines in the NFL, if not the best three in the middle. And that's who he's going to have to be dealing with all day.
Josh Sweat plus 120. That is a bet for me. The no is minus 154. Now, if you're gonna key on Reddick, one-on-one with Sweat, give me that all day at plus money.
And Orlando Brown, his feet are slow. Like he's too big. Like, and that was the thing when he was coming out of school. It was like, everybody see that guy ran a 5.7 40? Like he's still that guy. He's still slow. He's slow-footed. He's not quick. Josh Sweat is one of the freakiest athletes in the NFL. I think he was like fourth in the league in sacks this year. Just got overshadowed by Hassan Reddick. This dude has been special. And I think that if he gets one-on-one matchups, he's going to win them on the outside. And honestly, maybe that funnels Pat Mahomes into Hassan Reddick, and we're overthinking this thing. But if Reddick wins his reps, Mahomes is going to get away from him, and that's Josh Sweat cleanup duty.
Fletcher Cox plus 270, no minus 380. I am staying away.
Can't do it.
Chris Jones, he's been a game wrecker. Yes, minus 118, no minus 108.
I can't do this. I really want to. The way that the Chiefs line up on defense is, so he's not really going to be over a guard or over the center. He's going to be gapping, and that's what they do. But he's going to get a healthy dose of Jason Kelce, and Spags is going to cook something up to try to get him one-on-ones with Sayamalu, one-on-ones with Landon Dickerson. A lot of walking up to the line of scrimmage from the Kansas City Chiefs linebackers, just eye candy, trying to trick Jason Kelce, because they will come at some point. They are going to blitz those guys. So they're going to try to find him in those one-on-one situations. It's just like, this is a guy who didn't have a playoff sack until 2 weeks ago. And so for minus 118, it feels a little short.
Way too short. Not touching that. And especially because everybody involved is like, Chris Jones, he's so good. Yeah. You know what normally happens? The other team knows that and really pays attention to him as well. So that's a no for me on Chris Jones. The rookie, George Karlaftis. Now, he's been good. He's been a really good rookie for this team. Yes, it's plus 176. No, minus 230. I'm staying away from the rook.
And I'm going to get my analysis on the next three out of the way. Basically, the best edge rusher in the NFL wasn't able to get going against the Eagles tackles. Nick Bosa got pretty much shut down. He had a pressure early, and he had a really good play on the goal line. He made some really good plays in the run game. But when it came to pin your ears back time, Lane Johnson and Jordan Lawton were just better than him that day. And Bosa's better than Dunlap, Frank Clark, or George Karlaftis. Frank Clark would be the one, just because he's always seems to be, the Chiefs need a big play. Frank Clark's on the field. Frank Clark's going to make that play. So if I had to pick one from the Chiefs, I would pick Frank Clark.
I'm taking Frank Clark plus 124. And it's a lot of it has to do with, I don't know how many times Jalen's going to get sacked in the pocket, but if he runs out of bounds, and behind the line of scrimmage, that counts as a sack. And the person who forces him out or nearest to him gets credited with that. Frank Clark is around the ball constantly in the playoffs. I'm going to take him at plus 124. I think that's good value. Here's our interceptions market. James Bradbury to recorded pick plus 680. CJ Gardner-Johnson plus 630. Darius Slade recorded interception plus 630. Anybody of the Eagles cornerbacks or secondary players that you're taking?
So I think Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is going to find himself an interception at some point in this game. On my book here at home, we're able to bet on first interception of the game, and he's plus 1,000 there. I'm more comfortable with that. But it's the league leader in takeaways versus a guy who has thrown a lot of interceptable balls, and that'll be the story of the game. Kind of subtly, as we all talk about the line of scrimmage, it's like, how many picks do the Eagles drop?
Right.
Really. I mean, truly. Yeah. And Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is going to get one.
Well, I'm going to take Big Play Slate plus 630. And I was talking to you beforehand. The boost is, well, Bradbury or Gardner Johnson to record a pick. Either one of those guys, I'm like, interesting. I'm going to take Slay because he's not in that boost. So that's my rationale. Darius Slay is going to pick a ball off. Big play Slay for a reason. He's been quiet because teams don't throw to him. I think he gets one if they try to challenge him. Plus 630. Let's go big play Slay. Then on the other side, the three of the secondary players for the Chiefs. Justin Reed plus 680. Juan Thornhill plus 640. And Trent McDuffie, the rookie, plus 680.
If I had to pick somebody from the Chiefs, I think I would pick Trent McDuffie. I think that Philadelphia is going to try to pick on quote unquote inexperienced guys, young guys in this game, and Trent McDuffie certainly fits that bill. He's going to be probably targeted a lot. Jalen doesn't really give the ball away to safeties. And so if they're going down the sidelines and Trent McDuffie is the one in one-on-one coverage and it happens 7 times, that's 7 shots at this.
Okay. All right. So that is that, Market.
There it is. First interception of the game.
There it is. So first interception, no, plus
260.
Plus Slay, plus 850. Yeah, CJ, your boy, plus 1,000 there. First sack of the game. Jones plus 600, Reddick plus 700, Sweat plus 750, Clark plus 800. So all those 4 guys we talk as like the premier edge rushers in this game, or premier rushers in this game, in this market as well. So I'm not touching any of those. Tyson, you said you're going to sprinkle on Gardner Johnson.
Yeah, and I think before we get into our analysis of the game, we already did that, but who we're picking and why, I think we got to talk Super Bowl MVP props too.
Yeah, I don't have that on here. Unfortunately, we are not able to, in New York City, or New York State, I should say, bet on anybody or any award that's voted on. So that's extremely unfortunate for me. Do you have those numbers up in front of you by chance, Tyson?
I'll pull them up here, but
okay.
Mostly what I'm talking about as far as the MVP goes is like which quarterback is going to win this award. Like basically, I think as far as sprinkles go, I'll give you somebody I'm interested in, and that's actually Josh Sweat at plus 15,000. I just think everybody putting a Hassan Reddick ticket in and betting him down from 7,400 to 3,400 for the Super Bowl MVP is not doing their homework. And the fact that Josh Sweat is at double the odds of Brandon Graham, somebody he plays 3 times as many snaps as, that to me is value if you wanted a defensive end. But like, let's be honest, Brad. Do you think Travis Kelce, AJ Brown, Miles Sanders, Devontae Smith, Jerick McKinnon, Pacheco, you think any of those guys win Super Bowl MVP?
Well, here's the problem, right? I mean, nobody besides quarterbacks wins. I mean, last year it was Cooper Kupp, but that's because Stafford had an okay game. I'm shocked they didn't give it to him, honestly. I love how everybody all of a sudden now is like, Aaron Donald should have won the MVP. Like, Cooper Kupp didn't have like an incredible receiving game and score the game-winning touchdown, but Donald on the last drive like blew it up when they were
another.
I don't know. It's just
another Super Bowl MVP thing that I think we need to keep in mind from a betting perspective. This is voted on before the game ends.
Yep.
So if there's a huge play late in the fourth quarter, like that's not saving your ticket. You have to be thinking of splash plays basically before that and counting stats.
Early. And because when Malcolm Smith, defensive player, linebacker for the Seahawks, won, it was early in the game, to your point, Tyson. That fumble recovery, I think he had an interception as well, if I remember correctly, and a ton of tackles.
Yeah, you got to go early. You got to get guys you think are going to pop off the screen to the voters before 6 minutes left or whatever is in fourth. Which is, by the way, the stupidest thing. Like,
it's ridiculous. Like,
it's a 7-hour spectacle. We'll wait 15 minutes. Count the votes.
Are you serious? And like, well, we got to write our stories. Are you fucking kidding me, dude? That's your job. Like,
and nobody's reading anymore.
Okay, before we get into giving away, I want to say my pick of anybody besides the 2 quarterbacks is going to be Miles Sanders. And I think that it will have something to do with this anytime touchdown market, because we wanted to save this towards the end before we get into our actual pick, the big pick, who we think is going to win the game, yada, yada. We got to get into these anytime touchdowns. Travis Kelce, the favorite, minus 120 to score a touchdown or get into the end zone. Hurts, the second shortest, plus 100. Miles Sanders, plus 120. A.J. Brown, plus 120. Isaiah Pacheco, plus 135. Then our boy Smitty, plus 165. On this board, it can get pretty lit up here. I mean, if you think this is going to be a lot, now this is a high total, 50 and a half. There's suggesting there's going to be some points. Who do you like to get into the end zone in this game?
Well, I'm smashing the first 3, and those are the 3 that I'm going to play.
Okay.
I think Travis Kelce will find his way into the end zone. He's going to be the best player on the field when he's on the field. Jalen Hurts has scored, was it 15 touchdowns on the ground in 17 games this season? So if at implied odds of what is that, 46.5, 48%, something like that at plus 100 for something that he's done almost 100% of the time, like on average, I'm taking that. And then Miles Sanders, the dude went from 0 touchdowns to not being able to stay out of the end zone this season.
I'm taking Miles Sanders for sure. Definitely taking Kelce. Like, he's going to find it. I'll ride with you on Hurts. I think he'll get in. At some point, they'll push him in. Now, let's go deeper into the board. I'm staying away from Brown, staying away from Pacheco, although he might get down. Staying away from Smitty, Goddard, McKinnon. Those are all the guys under plus 200. Now we're talking, baby. Here are the long shots. Valdez-Scantling plus 250. Smith-Schuster plus 300. Gainwell plus 360. Tony plus 370. Mahomes plus 490. Can't stop scoring. Boston Scott plus 500. Anybody, and there's people down. I mean, Clyde Edwards-Helaire activated. I don't know if he gets in, but is there anybody on here that you like, Tyson, that you want to take a shot on?
I'll give you two. Kenny
Okay.
Gainwell at plus 360.
All right.
I think that's not a bad play at all. He's been the hot hand. He's been the best running back as far as counting stats go on the Eagles in the playoffs. And a little bit out there for you on this one. Blake Bell plus 1,400.
The Belldozer.
I think that if they're sitting at the 2-yard line and they have 2 shots, Blake Bell is going in motion and he's going to stop under the center and they're going to snap him the football and they're just going to push. And that works every single time the Kansas City Chiefs do it.
I'll take a shot here. Jody Fortson, baby. Third string tight end. Red zone target. You don't think Andy's dialing up some tricks for his third string tight end? Give me Jody Fortson down in the red zone plus 1,400 to get his ass in the end zone.
And I think, honestly, if you wanted to play all 3 Chiefs tight ends, because Noah Gray's coming along as well, seems to be getting better by the week. And if they come out in 13, there's a good chance they're throwing a touchdown. And so we have, 1 out of the 4 pass catchers, or 3 out of the 4 pass catchers on the field.
I'm not touching first touchdown score. Kelsey's your favorite plus 650. Hurts plus 800. Miles Sanders plus 850. I'm not touching that market. Are you dabbling into that?
No, I don't. First touchdown score, they're fun to play when you wake up hungover on Sunday morning and you're just trying to find something, but not when we have time to really think about it.
Okay, last one I like here. To score 2+ touchdowns, I'm going Miles Sanders plus 700. And you can only make 25 bet selections. So we are busy here, Tyson. But I'm doing
Lame.
Miles Sanders plus 700 to score 2+ touchdowns.
Yeah, and on the odds versus him to get in the end zone once, how close he is to everybody else versus for 2, he's $3 longer than Travis Kelce here. I don't think that's bad at all.
Okay. All right. Well, that does it for our prop section here. Now, we had to save it for the last here, Tyson. We had to do it. Game picks. People might know where we're leaning here, but I do want to give off a couple historical stats here just for everybody who's wondering if they're making a pick or not in this game. Mahomes 7-1-1 against the spread as an underdog. That's the best win percentage as an underdog since the merger. Currently, as you can see, the Chiefs are a 1.5-point dog. Follow the line movement in the Super Bowl. 18 times in Super Bowl history, the line has moved 1.5 points or more from open to close. Chiefs opened as a 2.5, 2-point favorite, 1.5 in some spots. Eagles are now 1.5-point favorites. That's a big time move. Teams with the line movement in their favor are 16-2 straight up, 14-4 against the spread. So exceptional history there if the line moves in a team's favor. Where's another one here that I was looking for? Oh, if you're looking for the over-under. So totals in the Super Bowl, the over-under number under is 28, 26, and 1. So the under is a higher percentage chance of hitting. If the total is 50 or more, the under is 9, 3, and 1. So there's a high number. It's probably going under. Last 10 years of the Super Bowl, the over-under is 5-5. So no big lean there. When the Chiefs have been in the Super Bowl 3 times, the under has gone under all 3 times. Eagles in the Super Bowl have been in the Super Bowl 3 times, 1-2 towards the, or 2-1 towards the under. So this is trending that this might be an under game here. Public sides, this is interesting. 10-9 straight up against the spread in the Super Bowl since 2004. There's the majority of bets are on the Eagles, suggesting that that's the public side, although the majority of the money is also on that side, suggesting it's also the sharp side as well. For the first time since 2010, 2011, the public side has lost against the spread in consecutive Super Bowls. The last time they lost 3 was in 2005, 2007. So, hey, if you're on the public side, baby, you're on the Eagles, you're like, woo, we're hitting, we're due. So just a funny little nugget in that direction there. All right, let's get into it, Tyson. Chiefs are the underdogs, Eagles the favorite. What is your pick for the big game?
So initially, when the Eagles won the NFC Championship and then I watched the Chiefs in the AFC title game, I was like, I feel really good about the Eagles winning this game by 10 points, by like 2+ scores, basically. We've all heard the stat going around that Pat Mahomes has played 93 games. His team has led or been within 1 score 90 times in the fourth quarter, which is fucking mind-blowing. That 3% of the times that this dude's ever played in the NFL, it's been a blowout, or his team's been blown out. All the other ones, he's doing most of the damage. The Eagles are just too deep. The roster is just too good for me to pick against. And I understand I've come off bias as a fan, but I don't think I'm alone in that thought. They're better everywhere but 3 spots for sure, which is just crazy. Pat Mahomes, this would be certainly a legacy game for him. But Brad, I think the Eagles win. I think the Eagles cover 1.5. I'm not touching the over/under, but I do think that if Philadelphia comes out and gets these guys out of there as they have their last 2 playoff games, then all of a sudden the conversation might become a little bigger. It might become like, oh, they just went 17-1 with Jalen Hurts this year. They blew everybody out. Nobody was close to winning the playoffs. This team's really, 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 really talented. Like we were talking as Eagles fans, this 2022 team, talent-wise, makes the 2017 team that broke the winless streak like kind of look pedestrian just on paper. They don't play the games on paper. Pat Mahomes is a monster. Andy Reid is the best coach of all time off a bye. It's going to be frustrating as hell watching this because it's going to be we're going to play zone. And you can pick your spots and you have to be perfect. And daring the best player in the NFL to be perfect is a dangerous game. I think Philly just finds a way.
Eagles haven't played anybody. Chiefs, they just beat the mighty Bengals, slayed the Joe Burrow Dragon, which they've never done. Look at the Chiefs. They're just so good, and Mahomes is so great. They've been here before. The Eagles haven't. Sirianni, he doesn't know what he's doing. This is the first time. Look how young Jalen Hurts is. They don't know what they're getting into facing the mighty Mahomes. Well, you know what I say to that, damn it? Fly, Eagles, fly, baby. It is Philly time, baby. The Phillies lost the World Series. The last time both the Phillies and the Eagles were in their respective championships, the Eagles lost, the Phillies won. Well, God damn it, it's time to reverse that favor. It's time to reverse that. It is Eagles winning this thing. They're going to prove how good they are. They're going to show up. They're going to make you wish you never doubted the Philadelphia Eagles and this elite roster. This is not about just a quarterback acting like a quarterback can't lose, like Tom Brady and that undefeated team didn't lose a Super Bowl. Like the best quarterback always wins the championship. No, it's about roster and team building. It's about having a great group in that locker room. And that's what the Eagles have. And that's what the Eagles are going to prove on Sunday in Arizona. Eagles -1.5. Tyson, let's fucking go.
And you know what? Damn it, I want my own 30 for 30 in 10 years too. Bullies of Baltimore.
Yeah, we're a part of it. We are a part of it. All right.
That Bullies from Baltimore was good, though. I got to say that. That 30 for 30 was nice.
I got to watch it. Any other things that you want to discuss here before we get out of here? Super Bowl analysis. I can't wait for the big game, man.
Nah, man. I mean, I'm flip-flopping in my own head right now. Like, I think the Chiefs are going to score points. It's going to be fun. It's not going to be what you expect. I think if you're at home and you haven't really been paying attention all that much, and you're like, well, it's the Chiefs. The Chiefs team and the Eagles team that played each other last year when nobody punted, the Eagles are drastically better, and the Chiefs' offense is drastically different. It's going to be fun, dude. This is going to be what's more likely? We get a game-winning field goal or somebody gets thrown out the stadium?
Game-winning field goal.
I think so too.
It's gonna be awesome.
These teams are so evenly matched, man. It's crazy.
It's gonna be awesome. Tyson, if they are like, dude, these guys are throwing so many picks at me, what the fuck? Where can they find all of our picks?
Our picks are in the Chalkboard app. You can get on the App Store and Google Play, wherever you download apps. The group name in Chalkboard is the Roundtable. It's Brad and I throwing picks at. Today we did a golf parlay for the Waste Management Open, and it's $10 to win 1,700. Basically, a lot of top 40, top 20 plays in there. So that's just fun stuff we got in there. We got all of our props for the games. I think Brad just is, you haven't passed the 500 for college basketball yet, but we're getting close.
Not yet, this week.
I think Brad had his first sweep of the NBA this season.
Dude, I'm clawing back.
Which is this week. But yeah, it's everything you can imagine we're betting. So if you want to hop in there and just take a look, and if you check the records and you say, you know what, these guys don't know what they're talking about, you can fade us. Or if you check them and you go, damn, Brad's hitting 60% on 500 college basketball bets. That's not so bad. I want to follow these guys. Do that too.
And share your picks too. Like we want to hear if you guys have an edge in something. Like we'll tail. Like believe me, like we want you to come in and be like, hey, we like these picks.
We're bored, man. It's 35 degrees where I live. It's snowy, rainy. I need something to do.
You do. You definitely do. But in the meantime, what you all can do out there is like, subscribe, and share the show. Like, we really appreciate y'all listening. We really appreciate your support. You can stay connected with us on our social media pages. Our Instagram is @_the_roundtable_pod_. Our TikTok handle is the same. And you can send us a tweet over at @TRT_pod. We'd appreciate it if you send a 5-star review as well, whether it's on Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen. If you send us a question in the comments, we will answer it on air. So if you have something to say to us, if you have a question that you want us to answer, send us over something after you give us some 5-star reviews, and we will play it on air. Tyson, it's been a pleasure chatting with you during the football season, handicapping these different games. We're going to have our reaction show coming out next week. Let's go, Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly. Until then, everybody, peace.